There are places in this world, tucked away in forgotten corners, that play by a different set of rules, ancient rules. And usually, there's one rule that separates a dream vacation from a permanent nightmare. For a young, newlywed couple, Liam and Chloe, their honeymoon was supposed to be the perfect start to their life together. But they'd soon discover that ignoring the one rule of a cursed town was the last mistake they would ever make. Before we get into their story, if you enjoy tales about strange and mysterious places, you're in the right spot. Go ahead and hit that like button, and maybe subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Liam and Chloe felt invincible, the way you only can when you're young and in love. With a shared confidence that was maybe a little arrogant, they saw the world as their personal playground. For their honeymoon, they wanted more than some sterile, all-inclusive resort. They craved authenticity, a real story to tell their kids one day. They found it in a remote, sun-drenched town in Rajasthan, India. It was a place of vibrant markets, air thick with the smell of spices, and ancient buildings that seemed to hold the secrets of centuries. Their hotel was a beautifully restored heritage building, and from their window, they had a perfect view of the town. But one structure stood out. On a low hill at the edge of town, half swallowed by overgrown banyan trees, was a massive, decaying mansion, a Havli. While the other buildings buzzed with life, this one was silent and dark. Its windows looked like vacant eyes staring out over the town. It was beautiful in its desolation, and it immediately captivated them. They asked the young waiter who brought them tea about it. He smiled nervously, his eyes darting toward the window. "The locals call it the Haveli of the Weeping Woman," he said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "It has been empty for a very long time." "It is not a good place," Liam chuckled. "Every old town has its haunted house, right?" The waiter didn't laugh. He just nodded and said, "There are stories about the woman who lived there. A witch, some say. They say she was vain, obsessed with her own beauty, and would do anything to keep it." He gathered the empty cups, clearly eager to leave. It is best to admire it from a distance. As he left, Liam and Chloe exchanged a smirk. A cursed Havli? A witch? It was perfect. This was exactly the kind of local color they were hoping for. Later that day, in a crowded market, they heard about the Havli again. An old man, with a face like a wrinkled map, was selling intricate silver jewelry. Chloe was admiring a delicate bracelet when the man noticed her gaze drifting back toward that ominous silhouette on the hill. His smile vanished. "You are new here," he stated, his voice raspy with age. "You must not go near that place. We've heard the stories," Liam said, trying to sound respectful, but obviously amused. "Something about a witch?" The old man's eyes narrowed. He leaned forward, his voice low and urgent. "This isn't a story for tourists to laugh at. That place is a tomb, and it holds a greedy spirit. There is one rule in this town, a rule our grandparents taught us, and we will teach our children. You do not disturb the weeping woman. You do not step foot on her land. And if your foolishness takes you there, you do not, under any circumstances, take anything from her home. Not a stone, not a leaf, not a speck of dust." He looked directly at Chloe, his gaze sharp. "The witch was jealous of youth and beauty. Legend says she steals it from those who disrespect her. And her favorite prize was a woman's hair." The warning was so specific, so grim, that a real chill ran down Chloe's spine. But Liam wrapped an arm around her, his confidence a warm shield. "Thank you for the advice, sir," he said, paying for the bracelet. As they walked away, he whispered to Chloe, "Can you believe that? They're really committed to the bid? Steals your hair? It's brilliant." Chloe laughed, the fear melting away. The old man's warning didn't feel like a genuine danger. It felt like a challenge, and Liam and Chloe never backed down from a challenge. That evening, they made the decision. They weren't going to let some spooky local legend scare them away from the most interesting landmark in town. The thrill was too much to resist. As the sun bled across the horizon, casting long, warped shadows, they made their way to the hill. The closer they got, the more the air changed. The vibrant sounds of the town faded into an oppressive silence. The Havli loomed over them, far more imposing up close. Its ornate carvings were being choked by vines, and the massive wooden gates, while not locked, were swollen shut. It took both their strength to shove one open, the groan of protesting wood echoing in the dead air. They stepped inside. The gate swung shut behind them with a deafening thud that sealed them in. For a moment, they just stood in the overgrown courtyard, their bravado flickering. The place just felt wrong. It was soaked in a profound sadness, a deep, lingering anger. But they'd come this far. Shaking it off, they went inside the main building. It was a world of decaying opulence. Dust motes danced in the slivers of fading light. They walked through grand halls with peeling frescoes, past furniture draped in white cloths that looked like sleeping ghosts. In one room, a portrait hung crookedly on the wall. It was a woman of breathtaking beauty, with piercing dark eyes and a cascade of long black hair. But her smile was cold, possessive. No plaque, no name, just the unnerving feeling that her eyes were following them. They eventually found what must have been the master bedroom. It was the largest room yet, dominated by a huge 4-poster bed. On a dusty marble vanity, among shattered perfume bottles, lay a single object that seemed untouched by time. It was an exquisite silver hairpin, shaped like a serpent with tiny emeralds for eyes. Chloe gasped. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. Without even thinking, she reached out and picked it up. It felt cool and heavy in her palm. "Wow," Liam breathed, leaning in. Then, he remembered. "Chloe, no, put it back." "What? Why?" she asked, her fingers closing tightly around it. "The old man," Liam said, a flicker of real unease in his voice. "He said not to take anything." Chloe rolled her eyes, her bravado rushing back. "Oh, come on, Liam. He's an old man telling ghost stories to sell jewelry. It's just a hairpin. It's been sitting here for 100 years. Who's going to miss it? It's a souvenir. Our perfect, creepy souvenir," she argued until Liam gave in, though he couldn't shake the pit of dread in his stomach. Chloe slipped the serpent hairpin into her pocket. As they turned and left the room, neither of them saw the eyes in the portrait darken, the cold smile twisting into something that looked a lot less like vanity and a lot more like hunger. "Okay, quick question for you. What would you have done? Would you have taken the hairpin? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to see how many of you would have risked it." Back in their bright, clean hotel room, the spell of the Havli was broken. They locked the door, ordered room service, and laughed about their little adventure. They had faced the cursed mansion and won. The spooky warning seemed ridiculous now. The silver hairpin sat on the bedside table, glinting in the lamplight a trophy. They fell asleep quickly, exhausted from the day. But sometime in the deepest part of the night, a sound pulled Liam from his sleep. It was a voice, a dry, rasping whisper, like dead leaves skittering on pavement. It was quiet, but it was definitely in the room with them. 1. Liam sat bolt upright, his heart pounding. He scanned the darkness. The windows were shut. The door was locked. He looked over at Chloe. She was sound asleep. He must have been dreaming. He laid back down, trying to slow his breathing. Then he heard it again. A little louder this time. A little closer. 2. This was not a dream. Liam slipped out of bed, his feet silent on the cool floor. He checked the bathroom. Empty. The closet. Empty. He pressed his ear to the hallway door. Silence. He was about to convince himself he was going crazy when the voice spoke again, now sounding like it was right next to the bed. 3. Chloe stirred in her sleep. Liam's blood ran cold. The voice wasn't just counting, it was patient. He stood frozen in the middle of the room as the count continued, punctuated by long, agonizing silences. 4. 5. It went on for what felt like an eternity. Liam didn't dare move, a prisoner in his own room, listening to the invisible intruder count toward God knows what. Section 6. The final count. The terror hit its peak just before dawn. The voice was no longer a whisper. It was a clear, guttural sound, filled with a chilling satisfaction. It was right beside Chloe. 107. Suddenly, Chloe gasped, her eyes flying open. She let out a choked, terrified sob and scrambled backwards against the headboard, her face a mask of pure horror. "Liam!" she screamed, a raw, piercing sound. "Liam, make it stop." Panic finally won out over fear. Liam lunged for the lamp and flicked it on, flooding the room with light. The instant the light hit, the voice stopped. The silence left behind was somehow even worse. "Chloe? Honey, what is it? What's wrong?" he asked, his voice shaking. She didn't answer. She just stared straight ahead, her eyes wide and vacant, her mouth hanging open as a single tear traced a path down her cheek. Liam's heart seized. He knelt on the bed to face her. "Chloe, talk to me." And that's when he saw it. It wasn't that her hair was messy or cut. It was gone, all of it. Her long, beautiful brown hair, the hair she loved so much, had vanished. Her scalp was unnaturally smooth, as if she had been bald her entire life. There wasn't a single strand on the pillows, not one on her shoulders. It had simply ceased to exist. Liam's gaze shot to the bedside table. The silver serpent hairpin lay there, its emerald eyes glinting with a wicked light. The old man's words screamed in his mind. The witch was jealous. She steals it from those who disrespect her. Her favorite prize was a woman's hair. What happened in that hotel room was never officially explained. The local police were called, but their report was inconclusive, listing it as a case of sudden onset alopecia, maybe triggered by a severe psychological breakdown. Chloe never spoke again. The vibrant, confident woman Liam had married was just gone. He left that town with the empty shell of his wife, her mind shattered by one night of unspeakable terror. The locals, of course, they knew exactly what happened. The story of the foolish newlyweds became a new, powerful chapter in the legend of the Weeping Woman, ultimate cautionary tale told to any traveler who looked at that dark mansion on the hill with a little too much curiosity. It's a chilling reminder that some warnings aren't just stories, they're rules. And some doors are left closed for a very good reason. You never know what's waiting on the other side, patiently counting, just waiting for you to make one simple mistake.